All right, we got a picture. Is there audio? Okay. Great, marvelous. We did have some technical issues. Firstly, hardware issues, and then, of course, what do you call it? My God, software issues is the word. So apologies for that, but we seem to be live. Thank God. Sorry for the camera being in the picture, but it's kind of important. Oh, I can actually do this so you can see me better. And every time I touch the camera, the entire image wobbles a bit, so I'm sorry about that. But we do what we must. It's funny because I have the chat on an iPad right next to me. But why don't I do this? See, there's a heart there, and it covers the it covers the comments. But I'll try to read them anyways. All right. You know, I was stressing so much for the hardware fix here, so I have very little of the stuff prepared on the table. So we just have to. You just have to give me like a little minute to find the various stuff that I'm gonna dig up when we get to it. Which reminds me, there's something in a box here that I need. Actually, I have a pretty big box. I recently moved the hobby space, and this is one of the problems we get when doing that. It doesn't matter, I'll give you a really good show anyways. Or as good as it can be, I guess. What I'm gonna do for you guys today is show you weathering, which is the art of making stuff used, weathered. Sorry for the noise here. And that involves, sun fading, dirt, mud, dust, road grime, grime in general, I guess, oil stains, chipping in the paint, rust. And the thing is, there's like a myriad of things to do. All right, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Let me just find this thing. There it is. There. And I believe that's it. Then there is something in this box. Welcome to my getting ready live show. Yes, as Snow is saying, this is for the SquidCon, which is a annual con we have on the Squidmar Discord, which is for patrons only. But little tip for you: you pay the lowest tier, you'll get access for Discord, and even if you quit supporting, you will still have access to the Discord. So if you want to join a really, really cool community, pay $2 or what it is, and join the Discord. Alright, I am not going to show you how to do all forms of weathering, because there's not enough time in the world to do that, because that is years and years and years and years of various techniques. But I'll show you the ones that I use to make my wargaming miniatures look really good. Yeah, I think these look really good. I'll just put that out there, no problem. I'm also going to show you, so yeah, there's basically just going to be a few techniques, and then you will have the tools you need to experiment more with the different various colors you need and stuff like that. And no, this is not the usual tank, because this is the third time I think, I've been running the weathering class, and I've been reusing the same tank all over again, which is actually in this box right here. There's the tank, but I actually started saving it from a perpetual loop of being used as an example. So we're going on to something else, which is very exciting for me, at least. And I will, of course, also show you how to put on decals, or decals, or whatever you prefer, water slide decals. Because a lot of people have issues doing them, and I have been doing them, that's what she said, for many years. So I know what I'm talking about. I hope. Just gonna shake these up a little bit. In my classes, you are free to ask any questions you want at any time, be them about weathering or other forms of modeling or miniature painting or anything else in general, and I will answer almost any question you have. All right, let's switch the camera so you can get a better view of the miniatures. These are super small. Here you can see my fingernails. I guess, yeah, 2 finger joints is the length of that thing. My thumb maybe is the same size. These are 15mm miniatures that I use for historical wargaming. And yeah, they're super small. It is 1 to 100 scale, which is less than half the size of your regular Warhammer miniature. And since everybody knows what a Vallejo paintball looks like, I'll just chuck this in the middle there, and that's your scale reference. They are super small, but I think I have painted these to a decent skill level. And there are decals on these as well, quite a few of them actually. Even on this one, there's decals on this side, decals there, and if you can see that, if this will focus, which it will, you can see the front decal there is also on, and also on the side here, are on raised levels, but they look like they are painted on, which is a very nice technique I will show you guys. The marking here is actually hand painted. I'm rather proud of that. But yeah, this you can see all of these are weathered to some degree. This one has quite a few chips on it. This one has a bit of dusting on this side. We have the truck here with a lot of dusting. And this is the techniques I will show you using this hole that I painted. Is this very bright or is it just me? So now that you've seen examples of what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put this to the side. Hello Martin, it is very good to see you again. You had a very good class. I didn't see much of it because I was stressing with my issues here, but yeah. All right, can we lower the let's see here. See there, now we can make it super bright, or how's this? That's not too bright, is it? That looks pretty good. So what you would usually do before getting to the decal or weathering stage, I feel so crammed between lamps and cameras here. But you would want to paint all the details on this. That means shovels and pickaxes and other various tools. You would paint the wheels the appropriate color, the tracks and everything. Maybe paint in here. Here there's supposed to be a gun. This is all metal, by the way. A heavy little piece. There's also supposed to be a gun here, which goes there. Then you can shoot, pew pew. And then there's crewmen. That I would paint these separately, but thing is, I'm not going to use this with a gun. I'm going to convert it into yeah, I'm starting to ramble on other stuff, but this won't be used with a gun, and there's more work to it to be done, but it works as a test bed just to show you the various weathering techniques. So this has not been painted fully, is what I'm trying to say, and you should paint your miniature fully before doing what I am about to show you, if that makes sense. Does it sound good and everything? Does it sound good? Was more appropriate than Coke in a Coke glass. I'd drink Pepsi if it wasn't for the bad taste. So the first thing we want to do before weathering is actually putting... Alright, let's imagine this has been painted to the standard we are happy with. The next step would be putting on the decals, and after that we could start with the weathering. So to since we are going to use enamels for weathering, because enamels are better than acrylics for weathering. This is just trash when it comes to weathering. Not because it's a basic skin tone, but because it's acrylic and it dries really fast, which is a problem in weathering because you need or you want time to work with materials. We're also going to use a bit of oil. And the problem here is that we have painted this, but we're going to use, I wouldn't say aggressive, but aggressive chemicals, and they can eat they can eat through the paint layer, so we want to just seal it up, and we're going to use a varnish. And I'm going to use the legendary Vallejo Premium Airbrush Color Gloss Varnish. Very long name. Did you know that I've actually changed the label on these now? So this is pretty old, and I recently bought this matte one because I thought I was out of matte, but this is full, so I have a lot of matte varnish. I'm rambling again. But we're going to use a gloss varnish. It will also help with the enamels and oils at a later stage because it will give the model a very smooth surface to work on, which is like a godsend for us. And even though this is a super duper, super small, tiny 15mm model, all of these techniques will work great on larger things. The tank I've been using the past 3 times, 2 times, 3 times has been a 1:35 scale one, which is almost twice the size of Warhammer models, and these techniques are similar. It's just smaller scale, so I guess you work slightly different. But yeah, it shouldn't have too much to say. This was, by the way, airbrushed with Tamiya colors. This is the XF88. I managed to wreck the label, so this is all the identifier I have left. I can't remember what they call it. I think they call it Dark Yellow 2 or something, but Tamiya colors are really, really, really good through the airbrush. But now we're going to use the gloss. So, first step first, we bring out the airbrush. Look how tiny the miniature is. And I'm going to grab the airbrush thinner, which also has that new Vallejo label. And did we have an airbrushing class this year? I spent a week on job training, so I'm really out of everything, to be honest. But I'm not going to go into detail on what I'm doing with the... yeah, not this year. I'm not going to go into details what I do with the airbrush. I'm just going to assume you know how to airbrush. If you don't have an airbrush, you can easily just brush paint this on as well. And if you just want the decals to be really good, you just need to add a gloss varnish where you're going to add a decal, but I'm just going to cover the entire model in it. Yeah, there is a airbrush class available that has been done earlier, but if there's any questions about any what I'm doing with airbrush, feel free to ask me, and I will answer as well as I can without focusing too much on the airbrush, since this is a veteran class. This is always really satisfying. There. Then I always twist it right here. Bum. So, just gloss it. I think everyone more or less know how to gloss miniatures. If you have a varnish spray, that works fine too. And would be nice to have a handle. I mean, I have a handle here, but I'm just too lazy to use it. I'm quickly gonna clean the airbrush. You can hear the compressor starting, I think, yes. Hope. Do not hope. Hope you can't hear it, but if you hear it, that's the compressor. When we're done for the day, we're going to add a matte varnish on top of everything. You can really see how everything comes together. It's crazy how crammed I look between this. Like, look, I'm like, hello, hello, hello. Anyways, I'm just holding time. This has to dry. The next step is the decals, as said. I'm using command decision 15mm 1:100 scale water slide transfer. These are basically number plates. Boring as it is, but they do actually match. Which I think is crazy. But we are going to remove two of them. As soon as I can find the appropriate tools to actually remove this. I used my hobby knife 2 seconds ago. No, there it is. Oh. Some people like to use small nail cutter scissors for this. For me, I always just prefer to use the good old hobby knife. And I'm going to remove two of them because I want to show you how to apply a decal on a flat surface and also a curved surface. And this entire sheet can go back into the bag, and we have the two decals there. They are super tiny. So tiny, it's actually silly. I'm also going to use two different brushes here. One large, one small, and these are old, bad, poor brushes that are not worth doing anything else with than using them for weathering, because weathering ruins brushes easily. Looks like I added a little bit too much gloss on one area here because it's pooling a bit. That's fine, doesn't matter. It's metal, I can just chuck it in the worst acid known to man and it'll still be fine. Also known as Coke. All right. So, people have probably heard of water slide decals. You're supposed to put them in some water, hot water, tepid water, cold water. It doesn't really matter the temperature of the water. It will release faster in warm water, but I mean, it goes so quick, it doesn't really matter. I don't like putting them into a bowl of water. I like putting water on them on the table, because that, if they release, they won't just float around here and be impossible to pick up or anything. So, I just verify how much this has dried. Yeah, you can see some bad pooling there. A very bad airbrushing technique in this class. My apologies for that. Just gonna use an airbrush to just spray air on it to hopefully make it dry a little bit faster. Just so we can get started. But as this dries, I will split these in two as well, just to use one at a time. What I'll basically do is take a brush, add water. We'd probably want this a little bit on this side. There you can see it. And then just dunk it in water. More like just lots and lots of water. Like so. Perfect. Perfect. We'll attach that decal just on a flat surface of the vehicle. Yeah, now it dried well. All right, I am I like using toothpicks when applying decals because it makes me be able to maneuver them around really easily. And I am first going to put a decal just here on a very flat surface. You can see there's, I don't know how much you can see that actually, but there is some form of texture on it, which will look good for a decal. And the other decal I will put back here over this line. And I'm going to show you how you can make the decal sink into the line and really feel like it was painted on rather than being a sheet of plastic or a sheet of decal film that just lays on top. This is to level up your skills. I use two decal solutions from Microscale Industries. This is Microset and Microsol. They're really good. Microset is sort of a added plus, so you will only need Microsol, to be honest. There are also a lot of other decal fixers, and as far as I know, they are very similar, and I don't have any experience with them because I've used this for decades now. I'm gonna not use the Microset. I'm just gonna use the Microsol for you guys. But this softens decals to conform to irregular surfaces for a painted on look, which is exactly what we want. And that is how I got the decals on the side here to really stick to it, because what it basically does, it melts the decal. Not much. It's more like making the decal into sort of a goo that will just nestle down into crevices and also over crevices. To see if the decal is ready, we touch it and you can see it floating around, which means it is ready for application. I'm going to take this brush again, the one that I used for water. And the problem with this is that they tip over very easily, so I like to just put it a little bit to the side. Then we add to where we are putting the decal. And then I like to just battle the decal until I get it. Put it on. Then with the toothpick we can sort of maneuver it around to where we want to put it, but I'm just gonna put it right there. Then I like using a Q-tip or cotton bud. Just gently roll over before applying a thinner layer of the Microsol on top. And then we just let that work. And you know what we could also do just to save time is start with the other decal. Just give it some more water. You can see it. I'm not sure if it's reacting with the varnish because we gave the varnish a whopping 10 seconds to settle or something. But I think we are good. And then for the flat surface, this is pretty much all that is needed, because now you've added a bit of Microsol, you've let it set for a bit, and for a flat surface, this is really all you ever need. But I'm just gonna add a little bit more, because why not? More is better. I ate a huge cheeseburger today, and it was pretty big, so I think more is better, but maybe up to a certain degree. Anyways, ooh, my back hurts. My God, my camera setup is horrible. I'm a professional, I know. Anyways, for now, we are going to apply the decal here. You know, I'm going to add that hinge there, the raised part and the lowered part, just to show you the magic of microsol. So I'm going to add microsol to this area. I'm going to check the decal if it is ready. I'm going to hit the focus button because this focus looks bad. Nope, it is. Look, I just ripped it. See that? I ripped the decal. That's the problem with using toothpicks. You just ruin the decal. That's fine. We could still use that just for demonstration purposes, but I do want to give you a better demonstration. So just going to quickly grab a new decal here. And that's the problem with decals. You really need to give them time before you touch them, because otherwise they'll just rip and yeah, you'll have a ripped decal. I'm just going to use the large brush. It carries more water. Here, drown in water decal. You can see part of the decal on the brush. So I just give that a little bit of time. Microsol has already dried on the back here, so we need to reapply that as well, but I mean, it doesn't matter. If you look closely to the decal on front here, you can see it looks really flat. I think the color difference is that it reacts with the varnish that hadn't settled entirely. Because usually you would add varnish and at least go grab something to eat or something, like give it a half an hour, not 10 seconds. But I think it looks real good as it is right now. I think we can add a bit more of microsol here. It's quite a lot, to be honest, but I'm also very eager, so I'm very gently gonna brush the decal. It does not move. I don't want to touch it more. I'll wait. I will wait. Nothing's more fun than watching a stream where the streamer is waiting. I mean, if you guys have any questions, now's the time. Ooh. Bum 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 bum. Would expect the viewer number to just drop. Oh, there we go. It is lifting. We have liftoff. Let's try to grab it. There we go. Now we'll put it. How do I show this best? By putting it sideways. Do we have people with OCD here? Because they're not going to like this. But I'm just going to add it like that. Brilliant. And then I am going to gently push down with the cotton bud. Just to try and make it attach. But if you can see here now, you can see that the decal is actually lifted up there, which isn't what we want at all. That's where the magic of microsol is. And depending on the decal, who made it, how thick it is, stuff like that, this may take a very long time. You can easily add 30 passes of microsol onto the decal to get the desired effect. But the trick is to you put on microsol, let it work a bit, and then just squeeze it out. Then you add a little bit more. I mean, the step for other decal fixers, it's usually more or less the same. Some may be more aggressive, some may be less aggressive, but it's usually the same. So just experiment a little bit. But if you can see here now, it's already glued down, but we still want to make it conform a bit more to the shapes, which is both a shape where it goes down and goes up. So it is, you know, those, I think for most people who will watch this stream, they may be doing Warhammer, and maybe the shoulder pads of Space Marines, it has that curve. And I've seen when you just use water for the water slide decal, water slide transfers, it doesn't conform to the roundness of the shoulder pad that well. But if you use just a little bit of microsol, maybe nothing more than we used on the front here, it will look as if it was painted on, rather than sticking up from all sides. Just looking a little bit closer here, I can already see that it goes down into the groove and up where the hinge is. I'll try to show you here. Ah, the camera focuses, that's great. Do you see that? That it goes slightly down? Just trying to adjust the light here very manually. And then it goes up over the hinge. And that was just a couple of passes, to be honest. Whereas on the stars on this side, I spent like a couple of hours just adding, letting it dry, adding, letting it dry, adding, letting it dry. It was a constant battle because the angles are so sharp on it. But here, I think we're already there, to be honest. I think that looks great. And that's how you add decals. Now, you can add decals straight onto the paint. I'll do this. You can add a decal straight onto what you're painting without a layer of varnish. That works. If you want the best result, you should have a gloss varnish under, a gloss varnish over, and then matte it down to your preference. But if you want to skip on a few of those steps, add the decal right onto the paint and maybe do a gloss over it. Not necessarily needed. But for us, I'm going to do a very quick gloss coat where I've added the decals, because I'm going to go a little bit weehoo crazy on the chemicals the next 30 minutes and make myself high as a dragon. Ventilated area and all that is pretty important. Anyways, let's go back to the table view. Just adding a very, very small amount here because we don't need much. It's funny, you will always make way more varnish than you ever actually need. That's actually the Closen, the law of Closen. Closen with a Z is the phenomena where you make a lot more than you mean to. You know, I'm just bullshitting. I don't know. Look, I'm done and I already got quite a bit left. Let me just quickly put some airbrush cleaner through this. Always sounds like I'm wrestling with Donald Duck when I do this. Alright. Maybe I'll just dry it a bit with some extra air. We are live, so we do not have time to let the varnish settle and harden and all of that fancy stuff, but this looks dry enough. You can see a slight variation there, but that's fine. But if you look closer to on the decal with the matte varnish on top, you can see that it now pretty much looks painted on, right? Because there's no silvering where you can see the edge of the decal or anything like that. It's just the decal itself. And I think that looks pretty good. Do you actually believe the little tabs there are... Yeah, that's what I feared. They're just molding things I didn't remove. Well, whoops. Oh well, let's not care too much about that. Right, the next step for me is always to do a what's known as a pin wash. You know, usually when you do a wash, you just add, excuse me, is when you just add a wash over the entire model or something, or maybe a part of the model. But a pin wash is where you just want to accentuate the, what do you call it, the lines, the grooves, and just try to define it a little bit more. And that's why we have the Tamiya panel line accent color dark brown. You can use whatever color you want, but I find the dark brown to be really good. This is nothing more than an enamel wash, but it comes with a fancy brush. But the thing is, this is also an enamel color. You know, streaking grime, I know is very popular in the wargaming community, or at least has some legendary status, and that is just an enamel wash with a dark brown color. This is more light than streaming grime, but it is the same. And this is also the same. Now the great thing with an enamel wash compared to something like a acrylic wash is that when you've added the acrylic wash and it dries, that's it. But with an enamel wash, you can just add it, and then if you're not too happy with it, you can reactivate it and remove it. And you reactivate it with paint thinner, white spirit. You will be able to get odorless at any art store. This smells less and is preferred. This will work for oil colors, and it will also work for enamels. So your best friend. And they have a child-proof top. I'm just going to pour a little bit into a little mixing cup here. That will probably be all I will ever need for this entire glass. What is the difference in behavior between enamel and oil washes? Good question. I think the main difference is that oil washes dry slower. Just gonna pour myself more drink here. Oil washes, they dry slower, and I feel like enamels also flow better. So I will use enamels for the most part. If I need a very specific color, I will mix my own with oil paints, and these are just a pack of 24 various colors that you buy for no money, and you can mix the colors you want and then thin them out with the odorless white spirit. And then you can have the wash color you need. I hope that answered your question, Martin. So for the pin wash, what we're trying to I can give you guys a better look at what I'm actually going to do. What we want is to accentuate details. Like, you see these ventilation grills here? You don't really see them that well, but if I just touch them with this, they pop like no tomorrow. And that's what you want to do. And we just want to add it to lines and crevices and everything. And if you miss a little bit, I just did there, doesn't really matter. You can just do this. It does not matter because we can reactivate it as many times as we want. So we can just remove that later on. So what I'm just going to do now is go over here and just show off the details I want to be showed off, which in my case is all of them. And this is also where you can see the enamel wash flow very well on the gloss paint, because if I just add it here, you can see it goes upwards as well to the top here. A very big thick line there, but that's fine, I guess. So we just add it, anywhere we want. And details automatically pop a lot more. What was a dark yellow blob now becomes a detailed miniature, which is what we want. You can also do it on the wheels here. Everywhere we want. And when it comes to the decal in the back here, because it now rests inside the crevice, we can just add details that will flow over the decal because it is nestled into the ridge. So you can see the enamel wash actually going over the decal in the crevice there, which is exactly what we wanted. It means the decal has conformed, and looks more painted on than put on, if that's a good word. And I'm not going to be too hassle about the detail here, because we want to move on. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. And you can already see that the details pop a lot more, but we have some ugly spots here and there. Now, when I say that you can reactivate it forever and ever, I sort of mean it, but it's also important to note that if you let it sit for maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe a month, it will be harder to reactivate it. And as soon as all the solvents in it has evaporated, it's pretty much impossible to reactivate it. So it's not for infinity. With oil paints, it's more able to be reactivated at any time. But for enamels, you get like many hours and maybe even many days of ability to work with it, but you don't really want to spend too much time with it. But with acrylics, it's like a minute later it has dried, then it has dried. And you could use any any acrylic wash and just be very careful, but it's just at the moment you miss a little bit, you're done for. You just need to repaint that entire area, and it's just more tedious, more work, I think. Whereas enamels, super easy, super simple. So I'm just waiting for this to dry a little bit more. But I mean, we could probably just start anyways. You have two choices here, basically. You have the cotton bud, which I'm a big fan of, or your brush. I'm just going to show you the cotton bud technique first. That's just to get it moist with the odorless white spirit. You may want to dab off the worst of it. And then if you look here now, magic will happen. Just very light passes here. Super light, and you can see the enamel wash lifting off. And suddenly, there's no wash there anymore. And here on the gun shield here, if I just do light passes, but try not to be hard so it goes down into the crevice, we will leave the pin wash in the crevice, but we will remove the other, where we missed. The same down here. And there you have it. We cleaned up that area up so nice. The smell on the panel liner, I have never actually smelled it. No, it's not strong. Like, I can smell the solvents in it, but I have it up against my nose, and I have a good taste. If you use your glue. If you use Tamiya glue, or actually whatever glue, it smells. The panel liner smells nothing compared to that. What does army painters smell like? This is... I should be a bloodhound. Let's see here. If I remove this now and just smell... No, panel liner smells a tad stronger than your strong tone, but not by much. If that helps. And another technique to get rid of all of this is to use your brush with the white spirit, then you can just go and slightly reactivate it and just rub it carefully. And this way you can be a lot more detailed with what you remove and where you remove it. But, you know, if you don't need to have the detail aspect of it, a cotton bud works just as great because you get a lot more area done. And, you know, you're supposed to spend some time here. I'm just speed running it so we can move on to the next step. But you can see how quickly the details start to pop here without us having really done too much. That's a problem. I just removed everything in the crevice down there. Usually I would want to reapply it then, but I'm not gonna do it now. I'm glad it helped. Snake ski? Snake ski. Then here, the decal. Now there's a gloss varnish over the decal, so I don't need to pay extra attention to the decal. But if you didn't use any varnish, you would just have to be maybe a little bit lighter on the cotton bud, do more passes, try to reactivate it better, and then just you know, be more careful, pay more attention. And yeah, that's basically how you do the pin wash. A good way to accentuate details, but also make it look a little bit more grimy very quickly. You can already see it from before and after that this looks so much better. Ballier on the 4, nice. All right. I think this looks good already. I haven't done anything on the interior here, but you know, you do the pin wash in here as well. You could even be less careful with cleaning up on the floor where people would have walked and worked. But, you know, just to weather it more. Now, another step we could do is use the enamel effects. I have 2 here. One is green for slime, and the other is earth. These are, I said, if you want to learn how to use streak and grime, this is exactly how you use it. And if we start with the slime, we can make this Jesus Christ, don't use this too often. We can make it look like this vehicle has been maybe sat in a bush for years, and the rain has just carried with it pollen and other forms of slime and stuff. Just made it look real bad. And here I just use my brush, picking out a little bit. And then I will add it to the very top here, just as a long stripe. You know, that doesn't really look good, but since it's an enamel wash, we have time to work with it. Maybe that was a little bit too much. I'm just taking off some more. maybe take off even more here. And the point here is that you're supposed to add these in as many successive layers as you need. It's not just like once you put it on, it's done. But to make this look a little bit better, we can just moist the brush, put some off on a piece of cloth, then just very gently flick your brush, moisted with white spirit, downwards. And there we have a good angle, I think, for the light. And the more you let it dry, the better this will look. So let it dry a bit before you start doing this. I mean, this is all experimentation. The good thing with this is if you fail your experiment, you just remove it. Because it is... you can just reactivate it as much as you want. It usually pools down on the bottom here after doing that, so I'm just going to wipe off some of it. Then you can just flick it downwards again. Just readjust it a bit. It just shows you the flexibility of using this stuff. As soon as that dries, it will hopefully give the illusion of, you know, it having been rained on. You can use the airbrush to dry it off a little bit quicker. And I mean, it may not look too nice now, but if you give it a few layers, and maybe some other details too, it can look nice. You at least see the shading there. We can do the same with earth, which is a lot darker. Streak and grime is actually even darker than this. Add some on the brush. We can do the same here and just add this to the top here. Maybe we'll put some on the ground here. Maybe there's some extra dirt that has been used up here. Maybe in the track area it would get excessive dirty as well. And maybe on the lower area here. You know, just put it on wherever and you can just work with it. And you know, I said that's the nice thing with this material. With the enamels. All right, we've spent an hour already. We're gonna keep on going for a little bit more, but I have basically shown you the main techniques here now. I'll hang around so we can play around a little bit more. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at any time. And then it's like, where did I put it? Because I don't want to have to get too messy. Then it's the same here. Just drag it down slightly and it will look like it has been raining a lot on it. It also works on terrain features. If you have a sewer drainage pipe or whatever, or maybe something similar on a vehicle, and it just pours down, you can just use this to like make that illusion better, like where it's just coming out from one area and not an entire panel, like I'm doing here. You can just do this infinitely. Same here, side here. You can just, we don't necessarily want to remove it here, we just want to spread it around like so. And maybe the middle here actually is a bit more clean and the dirt just gets shuffled into the corners, the crevices. And this just helps you fade the dirt out a bit. Nope, talk about getting dirty fingers. I did. The same here. I can easily control how much I want anywhere on this. It's always just to reapply it. When that dries, it will look more dirty. Same here. Maybe we want this to look a bit more serious. Now, what we also could do is clean it off more from here. You can see just how quickly this is removed and added. If we just have it here, it can look like something has been spilling just on this side. I haven't removed it entirely from the other areas here, so there's some remaining streaks that will be left, which can give it a very weathered look, because I haven't cleaned it off entirely from the sides there, if that makes sense. Then same here, maybe the outside of the wheels will be cleaner. This dirt just accumulates in crevices mostly. And then we can just leave it there. There you already have a pretty nice starting area for some mud and dust and dirt. Let's try to dry this off. And let's take a closer look. I think that's starting to look pretty good. You can also see the side here that has a little bit of that green shine, but also the dirt that has been raining down. And of course the inside. Now, let's say we want to make some extra dirty spots. We can take some oil paint. I would usually use burnt umber, just for not using all dark browns. I'm going to use lamp black. And we just need a itty little bitty piece of it, like so. And what we can do with that is attach it to the brush. Then maybe we have a oil spill right here. So we just deposit some there. And maybe we have a lot of dirt that has accumulated here for whatever reason. So I'm just gonna add those two spots there, and that's all we are gonna use. Clean off the brush. And you know, the last class was storytelling, so there's where you would learn why there are these patches of black here. Make up a story for it. So with white spirit on my brush, I can just start pulling this down. And oil paint is always so thick and so heavily pigmented. This always takes a bit to get just right. This is all experimenting, but like that. There it looks like it has streaked down from a spill, and up here, maybe we just want to feather it out a little bit. You know, it's so thick and so heavily pigmented. Like so. Because there's a slope down here, maybe it has feathered down ever so slightly, but nothing more than that. So maybe nothing more than this. I think that looks pretty good. There you go. And this you could do anywhere in here. Maybe I'll even take a little bit from this. Just place it down there. Just for some shading differences. Like so. And now, you know, we are pretty much done. I'm just going to let this dry for a little bit. Put on the matte varnish. Oh, sorry. And I've shown you the main techniques I use for weathering and also decals. If there's any questions to this, I'll happily take them. And I will use the airbrush for a little bit to just speed up the drying. Yeah, remember to open a window. Even though the white spirit is odorless, it doesn't mean it is solventless. So use a well-ventilated area. Now, white spirit isn't really the strongest solvent, so I'm not too worried about it. I know I'm gonna go do something else in than being in this room and then bun here, but you know yourself best. But it's not like, I don't want to say it's dangerous, but that is downplaying it a bit. You know, just use common sense. You're gonna be fine. Yes, it can give you a headache. I said, you know yourself best. Using a ventilated area, but so don't worry too much. Live a little bit. Live a bit. That is keywords. Now waiting for the oil stains to dry is gonna make our stream last days. Not hours, but days. but I'm just going to varnish over it. We may have a chemical reaction. It doesn't matter for me because this isn't the paint job I'm going to save at all. Not with license plates placed all over the vehicle. But usually when you've done like oil spots, with actual oil colors, you would give it maybe a couple of days to dry. You could keep on painting it. That reminds me, there's actually one more technique we haven't done. Jeez. We can't forget that. We need to do chipping. And chipping is actually really fun. Especially when it's chocolate chip. But anyways, what you will need for chipping, and yes, Martin, I am wrapping the original Squidmar Evolution airbrush, which I really like. I actually got this sent to Snow in Denmark and picked it up when I was visiting her, or I guess I was going to concert primarily, but I visited her. Anyways, pick a color that is lighter than your base color. This looks to be a lot lighter, so it'll work. This is AK 3rd generation buff acrylic. You don't need fancy stuff for chipping. Just your regular acrylics. I use a dry palette because I don't bother with the wet palette just for this. And then you take any brush you want. I'm just going to use the original Squidmar Mark 1 Golinsky because, represent and all that. What you want to do is load up some paint on your brush, make sure it flows off well, and all that usual stuff you do when you're painting. And, wherever you want chipping on the paint, you add color. And you just want to do sort of a stippling effect. And it will already look like chipping. Very quick technique to do that actually gives a lot of life to a model, and it is easily overdone. You can already see here how much better it looks with very little work. Maybe a couple of stripes as well. And maybe around the door here where they maybe have been opening it up a bit. Maybe having stepped a lot in and out of the vehicle. You can easily add chips over the decals as well for a more worn-in look, which will just make it look, even more painted on. And you could do this all day long. And the only thing you need is well, that wasn't too pretty, was it? And you only need a color that is slightly lighter than your base color. And you can chip. Ahoy. But you can see how much character this adds. Maybe even some vertical stripes too. And I think that what do the Brits say? It looks the bee's knees. Never understood why it has to look like the bee's knees. I haven't really studied a bee's knee. But anyways, a very quick way to get more out of it, and if you just use a lighter color than the base color, you will make it look pretty scuffed up and real already. I can quickly do the dark rust one as well. Only problem is I need to find it. Maybe it is because it's full Paul Morton. You know, here's more oil paints. Green and yellow. Perfect if you just want to mix your own little wash or whatever. You also have pigments. I don't really use pigments too much, mainly on terrain, but you know, it should be its own class, to be honest. If you're curious about pigments, I have done it before in previous classes, so you can check the videos which are on this YouTube channel. I can't find my dark rust, but I suppose we'll just mix it. Yeah. Alright, to mix it, we need a brown and a black, because rust is just the usual colors you get in pots are just very dark browns. And the thing with adding those as you know, a dark rust as a chip is that it actually looks very out of place because it just contrasts so much. Hey, I appreciate it, Snakeski. I mean, I could probably do more on pigments now, but we spent quite a bit on decals and being a bit late. I think decals could be its own class, to be honest. But there we have a... Oh, sorry, you didn't see me mixing. Here you have a dark rust-ish color. And if we do that, you know, you could probably do it inside the other chips, which could make it look like it has gone through the paint layer. And then it could look good if you do it very conservatively, like that. It sort of gives like an extra dimension. But if you were to only do it with the dark rust, you can easily... Oh shit. Ever had a doctor look you in the eyes and just say, oh shit? I guess it sucks. But yeah, you can see that just... I think it's just too dark. It adds too much contrast. So alone, I think it's too strong. But 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 spots with the lighter color under will look really good. It's a very good idea, Martin. I think Snow, who is the villain brain behind all of this, has some good... You know, I feel SquidCon gets better every year. I really do. First, you know, we had it on Twitch, And I think that worked, but now on YouTube, I actually like this YouTube format a lot better. I didn't comment on that. This is the first time we do it on YouTube. Right now I'm just adding very tiny amounts of thinner. Pumping in a little bit of matte. And this is what I like when you can just add the matte varnish and just see it transform so well. I'm just trying to find it where it's most glossy so you guys can see the difference real well. But anyways. Then we're just letting that dry. I'll quickly clean the airbrush again. Bum, 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 bum. And is it dry? Not entirely. As soon as the compressor turns off, we'll look at what we have here. Can you hear the compressor? Sounds like an old washing machine, yeah. But here you have it. And that is how you do decals, pin wash, enamel washes, streaking grime, oil washes, and chipping. If we get a very closer look here. There we go. You can see it in its close up here. Whoops. And yeah, this took me a little more than an hour, but if it's a miniature I'm actually intending to make look good, I would just spend more time making it look good, to be honest. And then you can make them, not that these are like amazing or anything, but then you can make them look more like these vehicles, which all have used these techniques. And that's it. Yeah, trick to all things is just taking your time. And thanks, Martin. Appreciate you thinking they look good. And you know, when I first started, this one stood out like a sore thumb because it's bright color, but now it's been toned down because of the weathering, and it looks more in place with these things, with the other things. So I guess the question is, do you have any questions? If so, I'll happily answer them now. Yeah, if you do batches, working on several vehicles and stuff, as Martin is saying, you can just fix a little bit on one, go to the other, fix a little bit, go back, fix a little bit, or go eat, which I like doing. All right, I think I'm just talking to you, Snow, and you, Martin, because there's two watching. I guess technically I'm also watching on my iPad, so we can give it a few more minutes before canceling. Canceling? Stopping the stream, as it's called. Fun fact. If I zoom out here, you can sort of see the display. Well, I don't think the number is correct either, but let's see here if this is possible to do in any good manner. My God. No. This will probably be on the VOD as well, right? There. See this thing? This thing? That was my hardware issue. I couldn't find my capture card, which transfers from HDMI into USB, which can go into my computer. So that was horrible. But I found it eventually. And then the issue I had with the software was that the streaming key had a space too much in it. So it wouldn't recognize the stream. Thank you, Snakesky. I appreciate it. Snakesky, or was it Bali on the server? I am currently on Break Lord Lasse on the server. Feel free to message me at any time if you have any questions or need any assistance or guides or help or whatever, and I'll happily help you. Belie. Yeah, there's other VODs on weathering. They all go through the main stuff that I've shown here, but maybe I show them in a different way that may be more helpful, or also the pigments, I guess, technically. So yeah, I don't think there is anything more to say other than thanks for watching, thanks for having me. When I hit stop streaming here, SquidCon for 2026 will be officially over, and we have to wait a whole year for next time. But a year passes fast, and maybe next time we'll have other cool classes, and maybe I'll have to teach another one. I like it. I like it. I do. It's fun. Especially when I get to do it with the small, tiny 15mm tanks. Look at this small thing. What's this? A tank for ants? Martin, I love you too. Ich liebe dich, as the Germans say. Alright. I will hit stop streaming and catch you guys later. Thank you, and good night.